something a little different than just a straight info dump. The title of my presentation was 15 Reasons to Own Excelsior Mining Right Now. But then when I got here yesterday, they said, hey, you've only got 10 minutes, so new title, 10 Reasons to Own Excelsior Mining Right Now. And we'll get right into this, otherwise I'll have to change my title again. So we will be the next new copper producer in the United States. The project's called Gunnison. It's in Arizona. It's an in-situ recovery operation, which means we're not going to dig the copper out of the ground, we're going to pump it out of the ground using injection and recovery boreholes, just like you see here on the photo on the left. If you're not familiar with in-situ recovery, it's a very common mining method. It's used for a variety of metals around the world. All the uranium, I believe, is mined this way in the United States. If you can find a deposit that can be mined this way, good for you because the operating costs are lower. We're in construction right now, and that is a picture on the right of initial well field construction. Plan to be producing copper by the end of this year. So, if any of you are looking for exposure to pure, unhedged copper production, then we will be the next copper producer in the United States, and you should want exposure to copper because the macro argument for higher copper prices is unstoppable. The big driver here is supply, and this supply-demand gap that's been looming for a while now should come into play at the exact moment that Excelsior gets into production. But you all know that already. I would expect that most people in this room are bullish on the copper price. But I thought, well, maybe you came here today with a friend, and that friend is not a big believer in commodities. And while you have been struggling to hold on to your junior mining portfolio, he's been making money in blockchain and cannabis, and he's telling you, hey, the junior miners have been in the doldrums for 8 years, and they could be in the doldrums for another 8 years. Well, first of all, you need new friends. Secondly, one of the beauties of Excelsior Mining is that we can be successful at just about any spot price. Because we're an ultra low cost producer, because of in situ, we can be, again, successful at just about any spot price. The spot price can come down below $2 a pound. We're still in business. Our competitors are out of business. Third reason, note Excelsior Mining right now, we are fully financed. We completed a project financing package late last year for $75 million. It largely consists of a metal streaming agreement. It was exactly what our shareholders wanted. It was largely non-dilutive. You can see we have 238 million shares out today, but we have all of the money in place for the initial CapEx, the ramp up, and a big contingency as well. So in this particular market we're in today, only the best projects get financed. You know, if you're a junior mining company today and you want to get financed, I would equate it to that scene from Lord of the Rings where they're trying to cross the bridge before it collapses into the lava and the fire. Excelsior's on the other side. There's no financing risk here. There's no financing risk. There's no permitting risk. This is a slide from RBC. It's looking at the internal rate of return for all the new copper projects coming online. This was done at $3 copper. Excelsior has the best internal rate of return for any new copper project coming online. Our base case was done at $2.75 copper, generated a 40% internal rate of return, all because, again, we can mine via in-situ recovery, which generates the big margin. Not only do we have the best IRR, we've got the lowest CapEx intensity. We're not among the lowest, we are the lowest. The total CapEx here is just $50 million, which is a remarkably low number. Part of the reason is we already have our processing facility in place, ready to go. This is Johnson Camp. We purchased it out of receivership for just over $8 million, saving us $50 to $60 million on our CapEx. You can see the location of the well field in the background, and what we're going to do is run a pipeline from that well field into that pond you see there on the right, and then the fluids will move through the SXEW plant. Out comes pure copper cathode. That's the final product. It's a staged project, so this is another reason why the CapEx is so low. We start off at 25 million pounds, which is the capacity for that plant, and then we ramp up to 125 million pounds per annum. This is a photo from 2016, and this is a photo from a week ago. So it's the same angle. You can see the acid storage tanks are being constructed in the foreground. The pond is getting a new liner, and if you squint really hard, you can see there's 6 drill rigs in the background there drilling the well field. The reason for this photo, and the reason why this is the 6th reason to own Excelsior Mining right now, is because it's real and it's happening. And so often in the junior mining space, it's not real and it's not happening. The 7th reason is that we keep our promises. The management group here is credible. They do what they're going to say they're going to do. This is a chart, a 3-year chart. I used this here when I was here last year. So the orange circles represent when I presented at this conference last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. And each year we've come before you and we've said, laid out exactly what we're going to do for the year, and each year we've delivered. Last year I stood at this podium and I said we would be fully permitted, fully financed, and into construction by the end of the year. That is the trifecta of mining milestones, and we delivered on all of them. This is our all-in operating costs from our feasibility study. I have to put a caveat here. So the project financing package and a couple of royalties adds about 10 cents to this number. So you can call it $1.33, but it's an all-in number. All of the initial CapEx is here. All the sustaining capital, there's over $700 million baked into that number in sustaining capital. All the royalties, it's a post-tax number. So you can see there's a big margin here between our all-in operating costs and the spot price of copper. And that margin is the backbone of this story. Margin is king. I said that one time, I think I said it here, and someone said, well, that's just a cliche. But it's not a cliche. If you're a producer, the only thing that matters is margin. And you don't need 10 reasons to own Excelsior Mining. You only need one, this one. Because we can mine via in-situ recovery, we're an ultra low-cost producer, which means we generate big margin, which means we generate big cash flow. So I'm saying all these things, good things about the economics of in-situ recovery, and you might be saying, well, why doesn't everybody do it then? Well, everyone would if they could, but you need a very specific geology in order to mine copper this way. And that geology has only been seen in Arizona. There were a number of projects that were mined out by the late 1990s. Today, there is no producer mining copper via in-situ recovery, and that causes some people to be skeptical. They want proof of concept. Well, maybe this is it. This is Taseko's Florence project. It is the only other in-situ recovery copper project in the world today. They are in, this is their test facility. They are circulating fluids right now. They are operational, and any day now they can produce copper. When they hold up a big copper cathode sheet for the world to see, I think it's going to be very good for them, but it's also going to be a big catalyst for Excelsior Mining. And the 10th reason to own Excelsior Mining today, this is a chart these numbers are from BMO, very recent numbers, and it's looking at the market cap valuation of companies as a percentage of net present value. And I want you to focus in on, can I make it a little light here? No, I can't. I want to focus in on the junior mining producers and the junior producers, mid-tier producers. Today they're getting about 60 to 70% of their net present value, so everybody's undervalued. But then you look at Excelsior Mining, we're around 20% of our net present value today. But we're about to make the leap up. We're about to join this club and achieve producer status. And that, we believe, will warrant a re-rating of the share price. Another way to look at it is, and I'm sure you've seen this curve before, describing the life cycle of a deposit. Again, Excelsior is in this very exciting moment when we're about to become a producer. We're the 1 in 1,000 that actually do it. We're going to become a producer, and traditionally, that warrants a re-rating of the share price. So that's 10 reasons to own Excelsior Mining right now. We have the right project for this market. We don't have any exploration risk. We're headed towards production, and we've got the means to get there. So as I said, I have at least 5 more that I'm willing to share with you if you come by and visit me at my booth. So thank you very much.